Hi everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of the ALiBSA webinar. This must be our fourth webinar of the year. So we've got a very interesting topic today. So I would be your co-host for the day. So my name is Alosh. I've been co-hosting the webinar since we started about 2.5 years ago, and I would be joined by Shirin today as your first co-hosting day as well, Shirin, isn't it?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Shirin, and I'm delighted to be co-hosting this session alongside the brilliant Alosh for my first time. I'm currently pursuing my master's in global human resource management at Newcastle University, and I'm happy to share that I've been working with ALiBSA for the past 6 months. Here is what we have in store for you today. First, definitely the introduction to the webinar today. Then we have the introduction guest speakers, webinar discussion, which is inclusive of breast cancer screening, designed with the communities in mind that we are representing here. And we'll be concluding, after which the panel will be open for Q&A and comments and feedbacks. And we'll be closing right after that. Before we get into the webinar, just a few quick notes to help run things smoothly. A few housekeeping notes. Please be on mute if you're not speaking. Please switch on your camera. We would love to see your face. And please raise your hand if you have a question in between the webinars.
You can also add your question at the end, add your question to the chat as well. We will also answer them in the Q&A. So I know we've got a few newcomers today to the webinar. So I just want to give you a little bit of background to ALiBSA. ALiBSA started in February 2023. So we are 2.5 years old. The idea behind ALiBSA was to make sure that the knowledge in academia, in medicine, in various fields should really reach the people who really needs that. So all the people among Black and Asian communities. So that's what ALiBSA. That's the reason why we started ALiBSA. So through that 2.5 years, we have grown from a small operation to spanning many countries in the world, spanning many continents. So throughout that, we've always kept the idea that ALiBSA is for the community and ALiBSA itself is a community. So if you are new to ALiBSA, want to be part of that ALiBSA community, please join us on WhatsApp by sending us a text, sending us a message on any of these numbers, or you could take a picture of the screen or a screenshot and then log in, join the community using that, using the link there. But also ALiBSA has we have revamped our website. You can visit it at ALiBSA.com. So it gives you a lot of background about ALiBSA, but also what it does is that you can catch up on all our past webinars. So that's 10, probably 20 webinars there, but on various topics which would really support you, which would be really helpful to you. So please go on to ALiBSA.com. That's for new old members as well. So please use the website and please use the community to know more about ALiBSA and then be part of our community.
Before we begin with today's topic, I'd love to introduce you to the wonderful team behind ALiBSA. This is the admin panel, the heart and brain behind everything that we do here at ALiBSA, from organizing webinars to developing resources, campaigns, and community engagement activities. This team has been consistently working to make ALiBSA a meaningful space for learning, support, and advocacy. Moving on, we also have a dedicated group of volunteers, which I'm proud to be part of. Some of us are students, some of us are early professionals, bringing all our energy and ideas to keep things moving forward. We are so grateful for the amazing team we have here at ALiBSA.
You also have some champions for ALiBSA. So their role is essentially to represent ALiBSA in various countries. So we've got people from various backgrounds representing ALiBSA to ensure that ALiBSA reaches all the communities that we want to reach. So thank you to our champions as well. So we are getting into the crux of today's webinar. So we will soon start our presentation. So I invite Dr. Kende and Naron to present a very important topic for us today. She has got years of background in cancer screening, and then I'm sure that it will be a very, very interesting and useful presentation for all of us today. So please make a note of your questions as well, and you can ask all those questions to the speaker later on in the webinar. What I will now do is that I will just get off this slide and then start presenting your slide. Give me 1 second, and everyone, once again, welcome to the webinar.
Okay. Okay.
Can you all see the screen, by the way?
Yes, I
Can you
can
see?
see.
Oh,
Yes.
Yep.
perfect. Welcome, Dr. Kende.
Okay. So can I start?
Yes, please.
Hello. Good evening. How are we? So we'll be talking about, let's go straight to the topic. It's really nice meeting every one of you. You know, we get to learn from ourselves. So let's go to the topic. Inclusive breast cancer screening, designed with communities in mind. You know, when you talk of breast cancer, we all know about cancer, but how do those in the rural or urban area know about it? How I'm talking in context of Nigeria this time, because at least I've gone to both the rural and the urban area to screen. So first of all, before you do that, you have to first understand those in the community, how they can accept the screening you want to come and do for them. I know Nigeria is full of, we have so many beliefs. So they have to have confidence in you before you can screen anyone. Next slide. So as I go along with the next slide also, this is one of our programs. Care for All Medicals is one of my program, is my, I'm the founder of Care for All Medicals, which is over 8 years ago. It started by screening in the rural area. If you know Lekki Aja, we started with health talk and went to screen women. As I told you, in Nigeria, it's not easy to just gather women and screen them. They have to trust you. So it's out of trust, they start referring us to so many other people. So Care for All started 8 years ago. Along the line, I've always been a member of YWCA, that's Young Women Christian Association, which I know it's everywhere all around the whole nation. So we often of every year we do free screening at the marketplaces in Lagos. We've gone to like 8, I think this year was our 9th year. We've gone to 8 different markets and we've been seeing positive results, because as we go to one market, the head of another market is aware of that and they encourage us to come. It's free screening. So next. So breast cancer, we know where the breast is. Everyone, both male and female, we both have. And breast cancer is common to both, although it's more common to female. Few males. We'll see next slide from the epidemiology, we'll see 99% of breast cancer occurs more in female. 0.5 to 1% occurs in male. When we go for breast screening, out of 100 women we see, those that have one lump or the other may just be like 3%. Sincerely. Most men that come is usually negative. Only very few cases do we see men that are positive. Can I have the next slide? So it's one of the most common cancers in Nigeria. Breast followed by cervical, followed by prostate for men. Breast and cervical are one of the most common for women, then prostate for men.
Dr. Kende?
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I'll just go back to the slide. Sorry.
Okay, so the cells, when you talk of cancer cells, they're more or less the cells in our body that decide to change its position, everything about it, and continue to multiply. I want to try and talk in a layman's language. I don't want to use any medical term so that people can get what I'm saying. So the cells is already in your body. It's just from change from our food, our environment, so many things that can cause all those changes. So that's why we talked about breast cancer. It means cells that in your body that has changed and are now causing something else. It begins in any part of the breast. So if when we are doing this L talk, we tell them, don't forget your armpit. When you're talking about, we know where the armpit is. That there are sometimes that is where you see the lump. You not see it on the breast. And we usually tell them it's 4 days after their period for those that are still having their period. So it can spread to any other part of the body. Next slide. So the epidemiology, as I said again, 99% of breast cancer occurs in women, while 0.5 to 1% of breast cancer occurs in men. So we feel that at least it's still women that are still the main carriers of this breast cancer. Then there are 2.3 million new cases and over 666,000 deaths worldwide. That's quite much. But in sub-Saharan Africa, 164,130 cases by 71,662 deaths. Although now the Minister of Health of present, there are some fundings that are now going to cancer. So I think last week I was in Abuja, we were talking about cervical cancer costing. They want to have a standard for both primary, secondary, and tertiary institution, so that when you are coming to a primary center, how much will it cost you to treat this cervical cancer? So something like that they're doing for the breast and so many other cancers. So they're now funding for cancers. They're now having chemotherapy centers to assist people so that those that have it, because of they don't, in Africa, when you have something, you are afraid to talk about it. But because people are now coming out, we now have survivors, we have ambassador, so many things. So people are now talking, and there are now more cancer centers. So breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer-related deaths in Nigeria. The incidence as for Nigeria in 2022, I couldn't get one of the most foreign 2024. I got 2022, 127,763. While the prevalence, all the total, 269, 109, which as for 2024 is far higher than this. So disparity between the north and the south is not so, there's no big gap. Almost spreads the same way in both north and the south part of the country. Next slide. The risk factors, no known cause, as we all know. Then those that have the family history of one cancer or the other, the BRCA1 gene, and they are all prone to it. Persons with other cancers who have had one radiation, if you have other cancers and you are exposed to the radiation to the chest, the cells can become deformed and start multiplying to become cancerous. Postmenopausal hormonal therapy. I'm always very careful when I'm talking about any contraceptive hormonal therapy, so that people won't just take it to the other way, that every hormonal therapy, because remember, a lot of people on family planning, we call contraceptives family planning in Nigeria. So by the time you are telling the women hormonal therapy, family planning causes cancer, you are going to be in trouble. So you try to educate them that there are some specific ones that can cause it, not all the family planning, not all the contraceptives. The more menstruation, because estrogen also aids this cancer. So the longer the menstruation, you have your period continuously, you are prone to it. Then obesity, obviously, when you are obese, estrogen is still being produced, and all this still aids cancerous cells. Alcohol, which one way or the other has shown is also a cause of breast cancer. Next slide. What do we see? That's what we call the signs and the symptoms. A lump on the breast or under the armpit. A lump, how do we describe a lump? We say a small ball that can move. That when you touch it, sometimes you may just see it there and you may not. And we tell the women that sometimes it's your husband that will even notice it. You yourself, you may not. Then you should remember it's 4 days after your period, you start examining yourself. Before your period or during your period, please we always emphasize that. Before your period or during your period, you could feel lumps. But after your period, when you are much stable, you examine your breast every month. Then there's general pain on all the parts of the breast. There's change in the size of the nipple, any discharge from the nipple, if it's fluid, milk, blood, or anything, then changes noticed on the skin. Some of the slides are some of all these things, so I'll be able to talk further when we get there. The next slide. So when we look at this now, this looks like orange. We'll see that it looks when you compare both, one looks distinct. The other one, so that one that looks like orange, proderange, we call it proderange. You could appreciate the skin a bit edematous. Then the nipple has retracted inside. So these are part of the observation a woman has to know. Next slide. So you could still see, it looks like the orange. You could see the dimpling of all the breast cells. So something is, when you see, we tell any abnormality you see in the breast, please go to the nearest health facilities. This will help in your management. Next. Also this, the breast at this point, when you touch it, it feels warm. It feels, for a dark person, you may not know it's reddish, but at least you feel warm, you feel the pain, you feel the tenderness, you feel the pain, you feel that something, this is not just right. So you take cognizance of this and you go to the primary. We encourage them to go to the necessary place, the appropriate health center, to continue their management. Next slide. This is a man with a breast abnormality. We usually see some men that are on the big side, they have tiny breasts. But we have to encourage them to examine, because one way or the other, you shouldn't rule out the side because he's a man, he cannot have a breast lump. But when you examine, we encourage them to examine their breasts, and if there's any lump, they have histology of that lump to be sure that it's not cancerous. Next. So what are the examinations we usually do? For a place like Nigeria, you have to consider the costs in management. So first is telling the person to examine themselves. Clinical breast examination is done by the nurse or the doctor in the primary health center, in the health facility, where they examine and teach patients how they should examine their breast. Mammogram, now there are so many NGOs that actually encourage women to go for mammogram. Mammogram is usually done for 40 years and above. I forgot to write breast scan. Yes, breast scan is usually done for ladies less than 40. Sorry, I forgot to include it. It's less than 40. So at least for that breast scan, for a child that you see that you feel lump and some other things, is from the first go for a breast scan and check what is there. They'll tell them the diagnosis. But for someone older than 40, can go for a mammogram. There are now NGOs that are now sponsoring breast cancer, breast scans and mammogram. Then the magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, which can also be done. By the time you do the mammogram and they are not so sure of what the result is, you can't go further, because you can't just start from the mammogram. You have to start from what they can afford, from step by step. That's how you continue the management. Next slide. I'll soon be rounding up. Standing in front of the mirror. How do we examine our breasts? That's very important. You stand in front of the mirror. You look, we have one breast is always bigger than one. After you look at your breast, is there any swelling? Is there any changes? Are the nipples, is one nipples in or out? These are the things you look when you stand in front of the mirror. And the next one goes, you raise up your hands. When you raise up the hand, next slide, when you raise up the hand, what do you note? Is there anything poking out of your breast? You stand in front of your mirror. Is there anything poking out? You still check, is there any deformity, any discoloration, any discharge coming out? without any pressure. Then afterwards, though, after standing in front of the mirror, the next thing the woman does is to lie down. When she lies down, she examines the breast by using the palm of the hand, not the tip of the tips of the finger. You use the palm of the hands and you go sequentially from outside. We actually teach them. We have some dolly babies that we use from outside to inside and press the nipple to be sure there is no discharge, to be sure if it's fluid, to be sure the discharge, if it's milky, if it's bloody. You have to rule that out. So when you examine the right, if it's the right to start, then you examine the left every month, 4 days after your period. Next slide. So still the same. After examining the whole breast, you go to your armpit. You have to examine the armpit because it has been found some lump are actually indicated, and there's a way you examine the armpit. We also teach them because if you see any abnormality there, please, we encourage them to go to the hospital. Next slide. That's a mammogram. It's not a very comfortable examination, but all the same, all the same, it has to be done. So next, next slide. These are some of the people that actually work with us. But for this, the community sensitization, this was done at Sangros. It was done this year, February, when we had our market screening. It was done at Sangros Market. So the market women, I was very happy because they had questions to ask us. Most of the time, if they see that they can trust you, you can answer their questions. Because as you're speaking over there, you don't speak English. As you speak English, you speak broken English, you speak if it's any language you can hear, you speak, and you encourage them to also ask questions in the language they know, so that the message can be passed across equally. And it has really been helpful. Next slide. So what are the preventive measures? Regular breast examination, as we said, even for those that are in their menopause stage, we still encourage them to do every month to check their breast. Eating of healthy food, vegetables, nuts, grains, and beans. They've been shown to help in the immunity and reduce this cancer formation, limit and or eliminate the use of alcohol, exercise. By the time we exercise, there's some hormones that are released in our body that helps us manage stress level, rest. Because when you don't rest, so many things are built up in our body. So all those ones have as a collective effect to result in so many things. And be aware of the product you use. There are so many products that we use. This is the cream that contains things that can result in cancerous cells. So in every product we use now, we tell everyone to be aware, to read the labels of anything you are getting for yourself. And if you know you are reacting to something, please stop it. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, so I think at this
slide
point,
in between that I missed, or
I finished the presentation and I'm waiting for your questions.
stop sharing. Give me 1 second. Thank you, Dr. Kane. That was a great presentation. We learned so much. I'm sure that we've also got so many questions as well. So give me one second. So before I start sharing the initial slides, would it be possible for everyone to turn on their cameras? We just want to take a screenshot of all of you on the screen. So if you all turn on your cameras, it would be wonderful. Give me 1 second. So thank you for that. And again, thank you so much for the presentation. We'll just we'll go into the questions soon.
Okay.
So before we do that, it would be great if all of you could give your feedback for ALiBSA. This would really help us to ensure that the ALiBSA is catering to your needs. So if you could scan that QR code, or we would also put that link onto the chat. So if you could click that link and then give us your feedback to ALiBSA, that would be great as well. And then before we go into the questions, one last thing is we'll have our next webinar on the 30th of June. So that's again another Monday, 8 to 9 p.m. with another great topic, another very important topic how to prevent the HIV-related stigma and discrimination in our communities. From ethnic minority communities. This is a very important topic. So we hope that you can all join us to the presentation of Dr. Lola Sule.
Please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand or simply pop your question in the chat box.
Dr. Adisope, do you want to lead the Q&A? I think there's a few raised hands.
Thank you very much, Dr. Deniro, for the presentation, for the wonderful presentation. I would check the chat box now if we have. Okay. We don't have. Oh, I'm coming. Sorry. Okay, just acknowledgements for now. Thank you so much. Pictures and descriptive information helps understand a lot. So, and we appreciate it. So, very useful information about breast cancer. I would like to ask, is there anything to help with presentation of breast cancer, especially with dietary?
Yeah. The prevention of breast cancer, sorry.
Okay. Can you say the question again? I didn't get the question.
I would like to ask, someone said, I would like to ask, is there anything to help with prevention of breast cancer, especially with dietary?
Okay. Our healthy diet. For my presentation, I said when I talked about fruit, vegetable, nuts, grains, yes, they are. Then our normal fruit and vegetable, one way or the other, increase our immunity. The food, although we have some issues now in Africa, something like some of our plantains, they're ripening using all this cyanide. So for someone like me, if I want to buy plantain, I still buy the unripe one. I'll make sure it ripes with me seeing it every day. So some of all those chemicals that they use to ripen food to do so many things, if you can avoid, those are the things that are causing all this cancer and so many other stuff. But eating the right food at the right proportionate, adding to every meal, having fruit and vegetable, and the most important thing, examining yourself. When you see something that is abnormal, this is not me, please go to the nearest health facility and get treated. And now in Lagos State, there's a standing rule. Everybody has to have one health insurance or the other. So it has really made things a bit, I guess, better. So you can always walk to any health facility and at least something can be done at the initial stage.
Thank you for that. Yeah. And then someone is asking, is free treatment available for people who can't afford healthcare costs?
Free treatment. Although some NGOs, For emergency cases in government hospitals, for emergency cases is free. But some NGOs now, I told you there is now a bit of funding for cancer cases. So there may be, to some extent, I can't say there's free, but some NGOs are actually assisting. But the most important thing is be sure of your diagnosis. Before those NGOs even start, they have to be sure that, okay, you've seen the right doctor, this is what you're being managed for, and from there they'll take it up. So I can't tell you there's free treatment 100%, but there's some subsidized treatment.
Thank you for that. Someone said, thank you so much for the presentation. I would like to ask a question concerning the risk factors. Is it only a family of breast cancers or any cancers that predispose you to have breast cancer?
There's actually know someone that they don't even have cancer in their family, but she just developed it. Although so, but the risk factors are, of course, when there's this gene in the family history, and one cancer or the other. But that doesn't mean that some people, I've seen some people that have no history of any cancer in the family, and the person developed breast cancer. So the most important thing is check yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. I would still like to, we have people on the queue already who have raised their hands. If we could take a bit of that, and I think I'll go with Mr. Maruf Sulaiman first, please. You're on mute, sir. You could just, thank you.
Yeah, I hope you're hearing me.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
this is a good one. Yesterday, I was watching Adeola Fayeun. I don't know whether you know the lady. Yeah, she brought somebody from. The person's in Nigeria. From the north, but she stays. I think she lives in New York, and she runs an NGO. About breast cancer. And honestly, some of the revelations she mentioned yesterday, I was scared. People using different types of local herbs and etc. like that to cure the breast cancer. And I think this kind of program that you have just organized is very essential for people to create awareness among the people in the north and even in the southwest as well. It's very essential so that people will be able to see that local remedies are not remedies to cancer of any form. May God protect us. And of course, I'm scared now when men do have breast cancer. I never heard of that before. Although you say it's just very minute, very small percentage. What can men do to prevent this? Maybe this relates to the question the other person asked just now, but for men in particular. Then my second question is this. You mentioned something about this family planning stuff that women use. That's been a major concern. Me and my wife always discuss this. What alternatives do we have if we don't use that?
Okay.
So
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
Dr. Deniro.
Okay. Men have to examine, first of all, not every man will have cancer, breast cancer, but when, as I said, because when you see something abnormal in your body, you have to take cognizance and do the right thing. Then for the contraceptives, as I said, people are using contraceptives, and it's not everybody that is coming down with cancer. I said something, it's usually at least the very common one are the progesterone only pills, which they claim that can cause it. But in medicine, we always think of risk and benefit. If the benefit outweighs the risk, why don't you go ahead? But still yet, you have to still check yourself. You have to make sure you examine yourself every month. You have to make sure we encourage the women, as I said. And for those that are not sure of themselves, even for us that have been going around, what we now do is that we make sure we join different women together to be in a group, so that if there's anything, they tell themselves, I'm seeing this thing, I'm noticing this thing. So when you tell yourselves, you'll be able to move forward. You'll be able to know the way forward. So the contraceptive, that's why I said I'm always very, very careful when I'm talking about that. So that they won't think it's all family planning, as they call it in Nigeria. Every family planning causes breast cancer. So, and the women and the men will be saying, no, their wife must not go for family planning for contraceptives. So it's not all the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have Mariam Ujo to ask a question, please.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, doctor, for the presentation. I want to ask if there's a relationship between breastfeeding and breast cancer. Yeah, I'm just curious, if one breastfeed very well, the baby very well, can it reduce the risk of breast cancer? Thank you.
Okay, yes. Yes, it does. From some studies that I've done, yes, breastfeeding, there's a way it reduces breast cancer.
Thank you. I think if I can just ask a question, does it have to do with hormones or the changes that occur during pregnancy that could help in reducing the risk, or anything in particular, please?
I think it's one of the hormones during breastfeeding.
Thank you.
Because by then the estrogen has reduced and other hormones are now interplay.
Yeah, thank you very much. And then we have Lola Sule to go ahead, Dr. Lola Sule.
Sorry, I think H before Lola Sule. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, AITTH. Yeah, H before Lola Sule. Sorry.
Okay, please. The next person should go ahead, please. I can only see 2 hands raised here. We have Lola Sule, which was the first, and the second one, Modupe Ade Lowo.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you so much, Dr. Ken. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I want to ask a question, Dr. Nino. Does having your brazier for long hours in a day causes breast cancer?
Okay. Is that the only question you want to?
Yes. Then number 2, is breast cancer hereditary?
Okay.
Thank you. Those are the 2 questions.
Okay.
Sorry, it's
The
afternoon, right? This is
know-
afternoon. I'm speaking from the US.
Okay. Thank you for the question. You know, by the time we wear our brazier for a long time, there's a way you pack the whole thing together. It has been encouraged one way or the other. When you get home, remove it and free the whole thing. I've forgotten the mechanism behind it, but they've encouraged that one way or the other, you shouldn't wear your bra for a very long time. There's a mechanism behind it, which presently I can't really remember. But it's helpful when you get to the appropriate place, you can remove it and free yourself. Then, as I said, there's a family history to breast cancer. There's a gene in some families that makes them prone to breast cancer, and family history of one cancer or the other, they are prone to breast cancer. And also, please, let's have it in mind. You may not have any cancer in the family, and it can just come from your lineage. And another thing, in something like Africa, we're always we try to talk to our people. I'm not against religion, because I've had history that we've gone to some screening that people, instead of going for the right treatment, they stick on anointing oil and others. So, but as I say, they have to trust you. It's when they trust you, they get a treatment. If they don't trust you, they won't tell you the truth. So that trust is the first thing when we are going for screening, we always establish before we now start the whole thing. Okay, I'm still here.
Okay. Dr. Lola, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Adeniro, for that very wonderful presentation. Thank you for the insights that you've shared. So I just have a few questions.
Okay.
As regards breast cancer, there was a time that if you look at onset of breast cancer, especially in women, you talk about from the ages of like 35, 40 something and above. But now you find out that even young girls, I've seen a 16-year-old who had a diagnosis of breast cancer. I've seen 18, I've seen 21. And I'm just wondering, and I'm curious to know, why are we having these early onsets right now in terms of, the age of onset for breast cancer, especially in women? That was my number one question. Then number
Okay.
two, like you said in your presentation, you mentioned that breastfeeding, protects, and I'm also aware that early onset of maybe like starting your menstruation early, what they call early menarche, and then not having
Yes.
children at all, they are all risk factors. So like for women, you have some women that are advanced in age and they've never had children. So does it mean that
Yeah.
this kind of women should actually, how do I put it now, should be more how do I put it now, advanced with conducting their self-breast examination? And normally we advocate that from women from the ages of 40 and above, you should actually have your breast examination, the breast test done, as in the mammogram, every year. So does it mean before they even attain that age, they should always check their breasts? Then another question I want to ask is on the issue of breast cancer, the awareness. I don't know what the awareness is like right now, because I am aware of the case of a friend's mom many years ago who had breast cancer, and she's an elite, quite knowledgeable. And when the diagnosis was made, it was still at the stage when it had not, spread to all organs. It was still confined to the breast. I think it was like stage 1 or 2 or thereabouts. And she was offered mastectomy, that is the removal of the breast, but she refused for cosmetic reasons. And instead, she went to a faith-based center like a church, just like what you mentioned, that some people prefer to go to church. And people kept counseling her, and the pastor said no, she was fine, she would be healed. And as at that time, that brain cancer was still confined to the breast, it had not spread. But eventually, it spread, it metastasized, and we lost her. So I don't know, what are we doing, especially in respect of communities, to sensitize people that, okay, once you are, even let's say you did not know on time and then you now get the diagnosis, it's still stage 1, stage 2, you can still, undergo like mastectomy or some other treatments to actually prevent it from spreading, because people are not so knowledgeable. Once they hear about it, some people go to churches, they start doing all sorts, using herbs, instead of actually seeking, medical and surgical help. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Please go ahead, Doc.
Okay. For the first one that you asked, that why are young girls having breast cancer now? It's because of what we are taking. It's because of what we are using now. It's because of how exposed we are to, when there's increase in technology, we're exposed to so many things. And, before you could go to your garden and pluck your vegetables and prepare them. But now they use fertilizer and so many other things to make our food. So all this are the way. And when we talk about when we talk about cancer, what did we say? The cells we have in our body that they've changed and they're becoming something else. So that's why we see the younger generation coming down with breast cancer, coming down with one cancer or the other. And at this point, that is the best we can do, is to encourage them to examine themselves. Encourage them that if they see anything abnormal, let us know. For us, for our screening that we do every year, what actually prompts us to go to the market, to start from the marketplace, was when we realize the elites, they know about it. But those in the market, the market women working, the woman frying things, selling one thing or the other, they are not aware of these things. So how can we get across to them? That's what made us go to the market period. And before we go to the market, we go to their leader, the men leader in the market. That is where we start from. So we tell them, we encourage them. Even now, we've gone to the extent that we partner with some NGOs so that they can, something like, I think there was one time we had market doctors to work with. Oh, no, sorry, it's another NGO. I'm mixing it up. We now have some NGOs that now work with us. That now, because it's another thing to do screening, it's another thing to do follow up for these women. So is that follow up? That is the most important thing. Can they trust you? Can they tell you when something is wrong? Who can they go to? So this is how the awareness is now coming. And the awareness is going to be more, as I said, 2 weeks, I think last week I was in Abuja, I told you we did cervical cancer costing. So there's more funding for cancer. So with time, it's now better compared to before. You know, before, women that have it, they won't say anything, they'll just keep quiet till it becomes very bad. But people are now coming out. People are now going to those people. People are now seeking knowledge. Now, what can we do? The woman selling orange is now seeking knowledge. What can she do? Then for those that are not married, they've not given birth. But the first thing is that even from the statistics, it's not as if those that even have it are the single ones. It's even some married ones that are even coming down with the cancers. But the most important thing is prevention. That preventive measure is what we talk about. So prevention, check yourself as a woman. When you see something abnormal, you are feeling breast pain after your period, you have your nipple, you are having one feeling or the other, please check yourself, go to the hospital. That initial stage goes a long way. And educating the women. You know, when you educate a woman, you educate the whole community, because she's going to teach her daughters, she's going to teach everybody. She teaches the whole community. So when you educate them, it's power. So that's why before we start screening, we always have an health talk. The health talk like 10 minutes, so that for the next 30 or 40 minutes, they go with questions. So many questions. There was one time I went to an apostolic church. I went for health talk. You know, the pastor was there. You know how apostolic people are. They could be very quiet. By the time I did the health talk and they started asking questions, even the pastor himself had to open mouth. My church member, so you know so much. Because the questions the women were asking, they were like, they didn't know it. And you just imagine, oh, because they are learned, they know so many things. But by the time we speak out, by the time we ask questions, by the time they talk, we know their minds. So we won't stop talking. We won't stop encouraging them. And the most important thing is that they still have to examine themselves or go to the nearest health facilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. I will just merge two questions from the chat box, which is I'm curious. Is breast cancer hereditary, and if so, what are some of the most common symptoms? And someone has asked already about, she would like to know if it was related to hereditary, the hereditary side, and you could just put the questions together, please. Thank you.
Okay. As I'll say, there's a family history. So obviously, with the gene, you're prone to it. So for some, I think this woman, Angela Jolie or so, her mother has breast cancer. I think her sister had. So because of that, she went for mastectomy to prevent it, which is one of the things they're encouraging. In their own communities, easier. But in African setting, I reject it. That's the first thing they'll tell you. They even call you that, no, doctor, you're the devil. They've actually said it to my face. We just laugh, and still yet we encourage them. So it's not easy for you just to tell a woman that you can go and cut the breast. There's family history, so go and cut your breast to prevent it. So imagine maybe something is wrong with the doctor. So what we do is, first thing is they have to trust you. They have to know that this is the test they are doing. Because even the instrument you use for the test, after the old test, to show how African setting is, after the old test, you have to be careful with the instruments you use. They are all disposable. And they'll be looking at you that don't throw it anywhere to show how bad it could be, because someone else may take it. So we are still careful. So for family history, we encourage them, okay, your mother has this, your sister has breast cancer. How can you prevent it? Examine yourself. All those preventive measures. We tell them the risk factors. Then we tell them how they can examine yourself after your period, 4 days after your from 4 days after your period, examine yourself. If you see, oh, we teach them how to examine themselves. If you see anything abnormal, go to the hospital. It's not as if you won't go to your pastor, but because in Nigeria, you have to make them understand. You can still go to your pastor unless they won't go. The first place they go to in Nigeria is the religious center before they come to the hospital, or the chemist before they now do other things. So you still tell them, when you go to the chemist, you come down to their level. It's a little the person can do, but go to the hospital. They will help you at the early stage. They can sort this thing out. We keep talking. We won't stop talking, because one way or the other, everybody is still going to be aware of this.
Thank you. And Dr. Fatia, please, a question.
Thank you, Dr. Adesope. Thanks, Dr. Adeniro, for your time and for the insightful presentation. So, I mean, I know that you've done a lot of impactful work in Lagos State. I was just wondering if you could consider engaging the faith-based leaders to, the religious leaders, the pastors, the imams, the traditional rulers, in fostering breast cancer screening, because we all know that if anything happens to anyone, the first person to reach out to is a pastor. I mean, classically in Nigeria setting, particularly in some rural and urban setting in Nigeria. And is there any way you could consider that? Possibly, rather than engaging the public, the women, their husbands, is there any way you could engage the faith-based leaders, the pastors, the imams, to foster this breast cancer screening? Because when they are aware, they acknowledge their attitudes towards breast cancer screening, they can now, relate it to their audience. And when people come to meet them, they refer them to medical professionals rather than telling them to pray and fast and do all that.
Yes, in every year, at least for the past 7 years, we go to ALiBSA Central Mosque. We do health training there every year. We are still, by June, we are still going to have another one this year. So how did that start? So that was how, at least some faith-based organizations, we've been able to penetrate. I think last year we were in Ife. I was in Ife, only of Ife. We did breast and cervical screening, prostate screening there. So we are starting, at least from what he said, we are now going to different communities, starting with the community leaders.
Okay.
We realize those are the people they listen to.
Yeah.
That's why in Lagos we go to the market. We start from the market women, their leaders. So like that, we won't stop. Just like you said, that's the starting point.
Yeah, then one more question, Dr. Adeniro. Could you probably later on share a link to a YouTube video to show us how to do breast self-examination? That would be really helpful. Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Elias, would you want to ask a question, please? Mr. Elias?
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I just want to find out. I've heard that men do also have breast cancer. And I want to find out how true it is. Secondly, has it any connection to maybe hereditary issues from the mother or so? Thank you.
Okay. Yes, men do have breast cancer. At least 1% of total breast cancer. From the epidemic, 99% is women, but 0.5 to 1% is breast cancer is usually the men. There's genetic history also. It doesn't just come like that. There's always this family history. So it makes you prone to it. Have I answered the question?
Yes, thank you. You have answered my question.
Okay.
Someone is asking, that might be the...
Okay. Is it
breast...
Sorry. It was before, before we always see breast cancer from 30 to 60, but now we are seeing younger girls. Yes, just like what Dr. Lara Sule talked about. There are some few exceptional cases that we've seen, those that have breast cancer, and obviously it's due to what they are exposed to. So we don't, when a lady has lump, we don't rule it out that is fibroadenoma or any other thing like that. You take the cells and go for histology. So if it's fibroadenoma, but even a person that has fibroadenoma, they still monitor.
Right. Thank you very much. Probably this is breast cancer age dependent at all?
Yeah, I think he answered that question.
Yes, I've answered that.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I think,
All right. Alash,
yeah,
please take over.
yeah. Thank you so much, Abelamle, for anchoring that session, and thank you so much, Kende, for answering all those questions. I know that we've got a few more raised hands. We are just conscious of time. So if you have any questions, please put that in the group. We will send those questions to Dr. Kende, and we'll endeavor to answer those questions, and then we'll post that back in the group. So we are almost coming to the end of our webinar. So as I said from the start, ALiBSA is a community. So if you want to be part of that community, it'd be great if you could join our WhatsApp community by texting us on any of those numbers or using that link to join the community. But you can also view our previous webinars. You can read the blogs, etc. On ALiBSA.com website. So it's a fully revamped website, so it'll be much easier to use, and you could read about all our past webinars. That's about 20 of webinars, very important topics. So please visit our website and join our community to get all the updates, and also be part of the ALiBSA community, because that's what it is there for. Currently, we've got 172 members in the community. And when we did the webinar last month, we had 157 members. So within that 1 month, we've grown. We've had more than 20 new members. So it's wonderful, wonderful news. I know that somebody just asked about the WhatsApp link. So if you could take a screenshot of this, or that would be great, and then you can join using that link, or easier, you could just text us on any of those numbers as well. So that brings us to the close of our webinar. So thank you so much for joining us. We will finish off by playing the video about ALiBSA, but thank you, all of you who have joined the webinar, and thank you so much, Dr. Kende, for a wonderful session. We'll be back on the 30th of June with another very important topic. So please mark your calendars. We'll be on the same time. So please join us next year. Sorry, next month as well.
Next month. Okay.
So feel free to exit the webinar if you want, but also if you want to stay and watch a video about what I've
My name is Fatiha Nei Odumosu, and I'm an associate professor of physical activity and health promotion in UWI Bristol. I founded ALiBSA, and I'm the lead on ALiBSA. So ALiBSA is an acronym from Aging Lifestyle in Blacks and Asians. It's a knowledge exchange program which is focused on improving health literacy among the ethnic minority background. So the focus is on the Black and Asian communities, because that's where I'm from, and that's where the majority of the admin members are from. And we're quite passionate about reducing health inequalities based on the existing health disparities that occur within this group of people.
I'm Chang Ma. I'm a senior lecturer in public health at UWI Bristol. So my role within this ALiBSA network is acting as an admin member and also a collaborator for the ALiBSA network, and also helping to promote this network to the Chinese ethnic minority, and also helping them to have a better understanding about the importance of physical activity and nutrition. Through this network, we can spread this physical activity message to the community.
Yeah, the brain behind ALiBSA is made up of 6 admin members, which include my humble self, Alosh Jos, who is the CEO of Cricket Cube, a community-driven cricket business company based in Newcastle. We also have 2 medical doctors on the team, Dr. Giselle and Dr. Abolanle Adesope, as well as a doctoral researcher, Oluwatobi Fatola. We have Dr. Cheng Ma, who is also a senior lecturer in public health as well. ALiBSA provides a platform whereby community members from the Black and Asian ethnic groups could be empowered through health literacy. And we feel that this would reduce health inequalities among this group of people, thereby increasing access to health services. We believe that when people are literate about their health condition, they have autonomy over their health, they are quite empowered over their health, and they have self-confidence to access health services, and that will go a long way in reducing health disparities among these communities. We will understand the barriers they face in accessing health services, and we can collectively work together to look at a well-tailored form of interventions that would enable them to access these health services. So ALiBSA is a program that helps to empower the communities. We run our monthly webinars, which involves inviting multidisciplinary group of speakers that give tailored health-related topics. And we use this platform to engage the communities on the experience with related topics. Outside the webinar, we have a robust WhatsApp community, which has over 120 members. And we do engage with our community members when it comes to resourcing health services, sharing links on ongoing research, sharing links on how to access specific facilities or resources tailored on health promotion within these ethnic groups. We also have a lot of volunteers who join us. Our webinars are well attended from different countries. This is not limited to the UK. We have people join us from other countries such as Netherlands, Canada, Malaysia, Australia, United States, Nigeria, Ghana, and several other countries. We have volunteers that also act as champions that help move ALiBSA within their home country. We do have a platform as well, which is linked with the championship and the volunteering platform, whereby we seek this platform to also mentor early career researchers who are really passionate about lifestyle-related conditions and community empowerment. Our vision for ALiBSA is to ensure that ALiBSA is global. We want to ensure that every country has an ALiBSA champion, and there will be community-driven led health literacy initiative that would help empower people within the communities. Feel free to join our network. We will strive together to empower the Black and Asian communities. We will ensure we're able to reduce health inequalities within this network.